of my family, and they must be faced.
Well, that is actually a big advantage to look quite different, so I enjoy that. I don't like, I like doing my work and I like my private life. So I had one really awkward time in the London tube, in the subway, in the underground. So I can't remember where it was going, and I was reading a book, and suddenly I see this couple across from me. The woman kind of leans into the guy's ear and looking at me. I'm like, oh shit! And then the guy suddenly goes, "Oh mate, you on telly?" And I'm like, nah, I'm not. And he's like, yeah, you're Uhtred, aren't you? You're on the Last Kingdom. And so I was like, nah, sorry man, that's not me. And he goes, yeah, that's me. And then suddenly the girl like across, she had this stroller. She was like, oh my god, yeah, it's Uhtred. Well, I think it's a compliment being compared to Game of Thrones, just because it's such an epic show, and I'm a big fan. I have a few buddies on the show, and so I watch it. But then Game of Thrones it's a huge scale. They have a huge budget. I think that's a very big difference. It's quite glossy, and I think The Last Kingdom is probably a little grittier and dirtier, and then it's based in history. It's based on historical fact, and so yeah, I think it's a very different show. Yeah, we've got the sword fighting as well, but then it's.
Now, talking about the fighting scenes, are they very difficult to execute? Is it true you have a martial arts background? How does that help you?
It does help. I've done different martial arts my whole life, and I've always enjoyed it. And we have an excellent stunt coordinator called the Ventile Jacques on set, who is also our horse coordinator. He does natural horsemanship, which is what the horse whisperer does.
You horse ridden before the show?
I had, yeah, when I was a kid. When I used to live in South Dakota for a while, and I used to do quite a bit of horseback riding, but I never learned how to do it. I just jumped on a horse and went, and there's no one around, so you can just ride for hours, and the horse always knows the way back. So it was great fun, but I didn't learn how to horse ride. I just went with whatever the horse decided to do. And then working on the show, I started learning. And the more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to learn. It's like learning a new language. Our makeup designer, Kate Benton, is a blessing. I could not do the show without her. And every morning, that's kind of my sanctuary, to be in the makeup truck, because it's such a welcoming, warm atmosphere, and there's a lot of banter. And she's a very, very loving, motherly woman.
Tell me a bit about your background.
I grew up between France and the United States, and Switzerland for 4 years as well. And I always travel a lot. I have a very large family, and they live all over the world, so I have the advantage of being able to go to places and kind of experience it as a local. I think you just become more open to how different people live, and that's what you need to do as an actor. You need to be able to identify with every character you play.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you.
And enjoy your time in Sydney. It's a beautiful place.